Today we're going to be dividing mixed numbers using the standard algorithm. We're going to start by writing the steps, and I apologize, they're going to be the exact same steps from yesterday's notes, but it's important to remember that you're following the same process each time. So the first thing we're going to do anytime we divide fractions is make sure they're both written in A over B form. Please remember that if you have a whole number, you write it as that number over 1. In the second step, we're going to take the division problem and we're going to make it a multiplication problem. We do that by doing two things. First, we change the division symbol to a multiplication symbol. After you've changed division to multiplication, you need to take the reciprocal of the number that you are dividing by. Remember, you are taking the reciprocal of the second number. You do not ever take the reciprocal or flip over the first number. Okay, so now that we've changed it to a multiplication problem, we can do simplifying like we do in multiplying fraction problems. You can simplify both vertically and diagonally, but never horizontally. And then you will multiply across. Okay, so now that we have the steps, let's try a problem where we're doing a mixed number times a mixed number. Let's do 2 4/5 divided by 1 4/6. Actually, let's make it 1 1/6. Okay, so 2 4/5. The first step is to put in A over B form. So I'm going to change both of them. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14/5. Still divided by 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7/6. Now remember, I know that 14 and 6 are both even, and you'd be tempted to simplify those, but you can't simplify them yet because it's still a division problem. The next step is to change it to multiplication and take the reciprocal. The first fraction stays the same. That will never change. We change the division to multiplication, and then 7/6 is going to become 6/7. Now we can look to see if we have any simplifying. We look at 5 and 6. I don't see anything to simplify in 5 and 6. I have 14 and 7. I know that 7 goes into 7 one time. 7 goes into 14 two times. I check my verticals. 14 and 5, nothing. 6 and 7, nothing. So now I know that I can multiply across. I take 2 times 6. That equals 12. And I take 5 times 1. That equals 5. So I have 12/5, and then I need to make sure that it's completely simplified or change it to a mixed number. And this is improper, so I do need to change it. 5 goes into 12 2 whole times. That's 10. I have 2 left over out of 5. If it gets to be a really big problem, remember you can treat it like long division. 12, top in, bottom out. 5 goes into 12 two times. That's 10. Subtract, you get 2. It goes in 2 whole times. That's my numerator. With 2 left over. I mean my whole number. That's my numerator out of 5. So 2 and 2/5, and 2/5 is completely simplified, so I know that I am done. All right, let's try example 2. Okay, let's try 3 3/4 divided by 6 2/8. Pause the video, try it out on your own. Let's see how you do. I'm intrigued to see if we have everything simplified we're supposed to have. Okay, welcome back. Remember, the first step is to change it to A over B form. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. So I have 15 over 4. It's still a division problem because I haven't changed anything yet. 6 times 8, or 8 times 6 is 48, plus 2 is 50 over 8. Still a division problem, but now they're both in A over B form. The next step then is to change it to a multiplication problem. First fraction always stays the same. Division becomes your multiplication, and you take the reciprocal of the number you're dividing by. So you should have had 8 over 50. Now that I have a multiplication problem, I can simplify. I check my diagonals. I have 4 and 8. I know that 4 goes into 4 once, and 4 goes into 8 2 times. I check my other diagonal, 15 and 50. I know that 5 goes into both of those. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 5 goes into 50 10 times. So this right here is where I'm interested to see if you remembered. You check your verticals. Here I have 3 and 1. I can't simplify that. But on the right side, I have 2 and 10. So now I see that 2 goes into 2 1 time, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. So I still could simplify there. Now that everything is simplified, I multiply across. I have a 3 times a 1, which is 3, and a 1 times a 5, which is 5. So what I'm left with is not improper, which means it is a common fraction, and that is the actual answer, 3/5. Now, the question is, why does it turn out so small? When you look back at the original problem, 3 3/4 divided by 6 2/8, you are trying to figure out how many times 6 2/8 goes into 3 3/4. Well, it's less than 1 because the number is bigger. So it should make sense that your answer turns out that way. All right, one more example, and then you can get started on your homework. Okay, let's do 12 divided by 3 3/7. What we're trying to find is how many times 3 3/7 goes into 12. So I want you to think about what your answer should kind of look like prior to solving this. Try it out, and then come back to see how you do. All right, the first step is to put in A over B form. So I have 12 over 1, because it's a whole number, divided by, still division, 7 times 3 is 21, plus 3 is 24/7. Now I'm looking at 12 over 1. I change division to multiplication, and I take the reciprocal of 24/7 and make it 7 over 24. I check my diagonals. 1 and 7, nothing. 12 and 24, yes, it's a big one. 12 goes into 12 1 time. 12 goes into 24 2 times. Now, even if you used a smaller number, let's say you thought only 2. 2 goes into 12 6 times. 2 goes into 24 12 times. At this point, you should have seen that they're still both even. So you could either divide by 2, or maybe at this point you realize that 6 goes into both of them. So 6 goes into 6 1 time. 6 goes into 12 2 times. Either way, you're going to end up with 1 and 2 if you simplify all the way down. I check my verticals. I have 1 and 1, nothing there. 7 and 2, nothing there. So now I know I can multiply across. I have 1 times 7, which is 7. And I have 1 times 2, which is 2. 7 over 2 is a improper fraction that needs to be changed to a mixed number. 2 goes into 7 3 whole times, which is 6. You have 1 left over out of 2, and that cannot be reduced. So the answer is 3.5. Think about what you predicted the answer to be. If we're doing 12 divided by 3 3/7, I want to know how many times 3 3/7 go into 12. The answer kind of makes sense. You know that 3 3s is 9, but you also have to deal with the 3/7 being multiplied up, and things like that. So your answer does make sense for the problem. All right, last box, making sure. Always make sure that your answers are completely reduced. If it is improper, it must be made into a mixed number. All right, you are going to practice this now on a worksheet and maybe some IXL. If you have questions, please ask. Good luck.